Everybody, this is Sherry at djsundry.blogspot.com, and it's hard to believe, but we are back for the very last animal card in this series. Now that doesn't mean I'll never do animal cards again, but it's the last one in this series. Now I wanted to take the time to show something today that I haven't been showing. Normally I don't show, when I do my Cricut, I don't show this part of it, and as you can see my mats are worn out. But I just wanted to take a minute to show you how these layers work off of the, this is the Create a Critter cartridge. So today we're doing a card that says Some Bunny Loves You. So I've cut my layers. Now to start with, this is the main feature. This is brown. Now this paper is from Paper Warehouse, or I'll have to put it in the description, but it's just a new pack of brown paper that I picked up, and I really like it. I like the color, and I didn't have a big enough brown scrap. But this is the main image, and this is cut at 1.5 inches. And this is going to be the main part of our bunny. So now I didn't change the dial size. I used the same size, and it formats it all to be the right layers, and that way all the sizes will match up. And so what I've done here is I have this pink scrap that I found in my scrap bin. I believe it's a textured paper, and I believe it's probably from the Paper Studio. It's just some that I've had in my scraps for a long time, but it looks like some in a stack that I have from the Paper Studio. And this is layer 2. Now his little eyes didn't punch out very well, so that's okay. I do have a tool to do that. I just sometimes use my fingers. So this is how the next layer will go. So you see that when I adhere it, it will go over the top, and all you will see then of the brown is his whiskers and his eyes and mouth. So then we move to layer 3, again at the same size, the 3.5 inches, and I cut this out of a cream piece of cardstock from my stash as well, just a scrap that I had. And pop his eyes out, pop his little ear out, and he will go right on top. Isn't he cute? Or she. I think it looks like a girl, so we're going to call her she. So when all the layers start coming together, with each layer that you add, you see only what adds detail on the layer below it. And then the last one, and this is a piece of paper tray ink cardstock, and it's just barely going to be a contrast. This is actually layer 3. This was the main feature button. This is using the layer 1 function key. This is the layer 2, and then his little belly is layer 3, and you can hardly even tell the difference by just a little bit of contrast there. So we have all 3 of our layers there, or all 4 of our layers, and so that is how these cards are made up. So let me show you the papers that I've chosen for this card, and then I am going to go off camera for a minute and put my layers together. Now to start with, I have this piece of paper tray ink paper. It's 11 inches wide, and I've cut it at 4.25, or it's 11 inches long, and I've cut it at 4.25 inches wide, and that's going to be our base. Now as you can see, I misscored that. And that's okay, because most of that will be covered up, and I think it's going to look okay. If it doesn't, when I'm putting my layers together, I'll just cut another piece. So that's the first layer. Now I had these scraps in my bin. This one I believe is from or it might be from K & Company. It's just a scrap that I have, and I've cut that one at 4 inches by 5.25, and my card's actually going to open like this, and I've cut that at 5.25 by 4.5. And then this is again from that same paper pack, I believe, is a piece of polka dot paper. See how perfectly they match? And that one I cut at 1.5 by 5.25, and that's going to go there. Now I needed something to break it up, and so I had this scrap, and it's just an individual piece of paper that I bought from somewhere, and unfortunately it's not quite wide enough, so I'm going to cheat. I cut it at 1 inch wide, and then I found this cream colored scrap that I had that is almost the same color, and I cut it to be the width that's going to go here, like that. So it's the 5.25 inches wide, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to adhere this right in the center, and though you will see a little bit of difference, you're not going to see a lot of difference, and then that way I can still use my papers that I wanted to use. So I'm going to go off camera, get all those pieces adhered, and then we'll come back and finish up the card. Okay, so I'm back, and I didn't like the way that line was going through there, so I did find another piece of cardstock. Now this isn't from Paper Tray Ink. I actually have no idea where this is from. It's a piece of 12 by 12 cardstock that was actually, I had used part of it to cut some letters out that I was making a poster for, and so I just cut it to 4.25 by 11 and scored it at 5.5. Now to finish off the inside, I took some more scraps, and this was my last piece of this. I don't even know if I have any more in my scrap pile. So I put that across there, put a little piece across here, and then I cut kind of at a diagonal. I cut a little piece to put up there just to kind of finish off. And then they have the whole area if they want to write a long message, or they can just write it here if they want a short message. Just something to kind of finish it. And then there's our front, and so let's get this finished up. Now I took another scrap from the base, and I used my Gathered Twigs Distress ink. It's a seasonal, it was Fall's Distress ink, and I stamped Somebody Loves You, and this is from K. Andrew Designs, all about animals. And then I corner rounded it. Again, I didn't measure it, I just eyeballed it and went with the size that I wanted to go with. And then on my little bunny, I went ahead and got her all adhered together, and then I popped her up on foam tape. So let's put her on first, and I was kind of trying to decide if I wanted to do a button or some kind of beads or maybe a flower or something on the bottom, and I decided I really don't want to do anything because the paper itself is so busy. I think that if I added something down here like I had thought about, I think it would just make it too busy. So we've got our little bunny on here, and then we're going to do our Some Bunny just right about there. And I think I'll just go ahead and use ATG. I thought about going ahead and popping it up on foam tape as well, but I think I'll just use my ATG. Excuse me. I have an almond piece. All right, so Somebody Loves You. Now the next thing that I want to do, well, there's a couple more things I want to do. I want to take some twine, and I think I'm going to go with Blossom twine. Yeah, I think, hang on just a second, I'll pull it off the side here. Now, Pink Sorbet is the wrong color, so I'm going to get some Blossom twine that I have from the Twinery. Now, you're probably wondering what's going on back there. I have my twine on on rings, have them on cards and on rings, and I actually have the rings clipped to my tripod. So that's what you heard squishing around in there. But I'm going to make just a little bow. Simple, simple little bow. And I'm going to grab my Glossy Accents, which I actually know where it is this time. And I'm going to adhere my little bow to my little cute little bunny. Right about there. Just her soft pink little bow. I'll just hold it there for a few seconds because I want it to be dry, or I want it to be strong. Glossy Accents dries very quickly. I mean, it's not something that dries in 2 seconds. It's not completely dry yet, but it is something that dries fairly quickly. And I think, like I did on my little mouse, I am going to go ahead and just make her eyes pop just a little bit. Now, I have learned the hard way that when you make a mistake, if you don't get it off, you will see it. So I want to remove that. I keep straight pins here just for that. And again, like I mentioned before, it goes on cloudy, but it will dry clear, and it'll just give it almost that epoxy look. Just a little bit of dimension. And I don't think I'm going to do her whiskers or anything. I think I'm just going to leave it just like that. So we have Somebody Loves You. So thanks for watching, and thanks so much for coming and watching the Animals card series. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope it's inspired you to make a whole card set of animals. And thanks for watching, and have a great day.